Have you ever thought about the air you breathe inside your car? Is it as safe as you think? It's a question that has been put under the microscope of late, and the findings are, to put it mildly, quite disturbing. You see, researchers at the Green Science Policy Institute have been looking into the toxicity of the air inside our cars. What they found was that a staggering 99% of cars manufactured between 2015 and 2022 are in fact carrying passengers in a toxic environment. Yes, you heard that right. Almost every single car on the road today is exposing its occupants to potentially harmful chemicals. It turns out that these vehicles contain a flame-retardant chemical known as tris, 1-chloroisopropyl phosphate, or TCI for short. This chemical, which serves no real benefit according to the study, is currently under investigation by the US National Toxicology Program as a potential carcinogen. That's a substance capable of causing cancer in living tissue. It's also been linked to harmful effects on children's IQ levels. The majority of these toxic chemicals were found in the seat foam of the vehicles studied, which means every time we sit down for a ride, we're immersing ourselves in a potentially dangerous environment. And the problem gets worse in the summer. Higher temperatures lead to higher concentrations of these flame-retardant chemicals due to a process called off-gassing. That's when gas-containing chemicals that were absorbed in materials is released into the air. So the next time you step into your car, remember this. You're not just hopping in for a quick ride to the grocery store or a long road trip. You're stepping into an environment where, for the duration of your journey, you're inhaling potentially toxic chemicals. Imagine every time you travel, you might be inhaling harmful chemicals. A chilling thought, isn't it? So, what's this toxic chemical lurking in our cars? Let's dive deeper. The culprit is a flame-retardant chemical known as tris, 1-chloroisopropyl phosphate, or TCI for short. It's a ubiquitous presence, found in an astounding 99% of cars manufactured between 2015 and 2022. The aim of this chemical is to prevent fires, but its effectiveness is under scrutiny. Now, what's really chilling about TCI is its potential health impact. The US National Toxicology Program has its eye on this chemical, investigating it as a possible carcinogen. That's right. TCI could be a cancer-causing agent hiding right under our noses, or rather our car seats. But that's not all. This chemical doesn't just pose a risk to adults. It's also a potential threat to our children. Researchers from the Green Science Policy Institute have reported that TCI can affect a child's IQ levels. Imagine this. You buckle your child into their car seat, thinking they're safe and secure. But in reality, they're being exposed to a chemical that could lower their IQ by 3 to 5 points. It's not just about IQ either. TCI exposure can interfere with the thyroid, a gland that emits crucial hormones for brain development. This interference could lead to children developing learning disabilities, behavioral issues, and even autism. So, we have a chemical that's potentially harmful to both adults and children, causing everything from cancer to cognitive issues. And the kicker? This chemical, according to the study, serves no real benefit. It's a silent, unnecessary threat, present in almost every car on our roads. A chemical with no real benefit, yet potentially devastating effects? Now you may wonder, where exactly is this toxic chemical hiding in our cars? Well, you might be surprised to learn that the majority of these harmful substances are lurking in a place that's close to us all, the seat foam. Yes, you heard it right. The very spot where you sit down, relax, and enjoy your drive is potentially a source of toxic exposure. Seat foam is typically treated with flame-retardant chemicals to reduce the risk of fire. But this safety measure comes with a significant downside. The chemicals used, including the notorious tris, 1-chloroisopropyl phosphate, or TCI, are not sealed within the foam. Over time, they can escape into the air inside the car, a process known as off-gassing. Off-gassing is not a constant process. It's affected by several factors, and one of the most significant is temperature. As the temperature rises, the rate of off-gassing increases. This means that during the hot summer months, the concentration of TCI in your car's air can be 2 to 5 times higher than in winter. So, when you're cruising down the highway on a sunny day, windows down, Music up, you could be inhaling a cocktail of potentially harmful chemicals. But it's not just the heat that causes off-gassing. The simple act of sitting on the seat can also dislodge these chemicals, releasing them into the air you breathe. This means that every time you settle into your car seat, you could be stirring up a cloud of invisible toxins. The seat you're comfortably resting on might be releasing toxic chemicals right now. Let's assess the risk. How dangerous is it really to breathe in these chemicals, you may ask? Well, brace yourself as the findings are alarming. Each time you go for a ride, you're inhaling potentially harmful chemicals. The average person spends about an hour in a car each day. Now, that might not sound like much, but let's consider drivers with longer commutes or those who spend multiple hours on the road. The exposure to these toxins intensifies, increasing the risk of health issues. But it's not just adults who are at risk. Picture this: children who breathe more air, pound for pound, than adults are being exposed to these toxic chemicals every day. They are transported to and from schools, doctor's appointments, and childcare in these toxin-filled vehicles. Now let's delve deeper into the effects of these chemicals on our children. Research has shown that increased exposure to these toxins can lead to a reduction in a child's IQ levels by 3 to 5 points. This is because the chemicals interfere with the thyroid, which emits hormones essential for brain development. The risks don't stop there. Early exposure to these toxins could result in children developing learning disabilities, autism, and even behavioral issues. It's a terrifying thought, isn't it? Our children, the most vulnerable members of our society, are at such a heightened risk. And it's not just one chemical we're talking about here. Car manufacturers have continued to use a variety of harmful chemicals, including tris, 1,3-dichloro-2-propyl phosphate, and tris, 2-chloroethyl phosphate. These chemicals have been linked to neurological and reproductive issues and have even been labeled as carcinogens by the California government. So, to circle back to our initial question, how dangerous is it really to breathe in these chemicals? I think it's safe to say the danger is real and more pronounced for our children. So, what's being done about this issue? Are car manufacturers taking action? You'd hope that with such alarming findings, car manufacturers would be scrambling to make changes. But unfortunately, that's not quite the case. Despite the growing body of evidence pointing to the harm these chemicals can cause, many car manufacturers continue to use them. It's not just the TCA that's a concern. Other chemicals such as tris, 1,3-dichloro-2-propyl phosphate known as TDCP and tris, 2-chloroethyl phosphate or TCEP are also commonly found in vehicles. And these aren't just harmless additives. They've been linked to a range of health issues, including neurological and reproductive problems. The state of California has even taken steps to label these chemicals as Proposition 65 carcinogens. This means they're recognized by the state as substances that can cause cancer. But despite this, they remain in widespread use across the car manufacturing industry. So why aren't more changes being made? Well, the simple answer is that it's complicated. These chemicals are used because they're effective flame retardants, and changing to safer alternatives isn't always straightforward. It's a complex issue that requires balancing safety concerns with practical considerations. But that doesn't mean we should accept the status quo. As consumers, we have a voice and a choice. We can demand safer vehicles, free from harmful chemicals. We can support manufacturers who prioritize safety and avoid those who don't. And we can push for stricter regulations to protect us all from unnecessary exposure to these dangerous substances. In the end, it's about more than just our own health. It's about the health of our children, our loved ones, and future generations. It's about making sure that every journey we take isn't just a ride, but a safe passage. It's high time we demand safer travel environments for ourselves and our children.